This time on Twitch with Ken's channel, right? That's exciting. Also
Unless you
out
paired
on,
yours up as well.
I didn't have enough time. That's all right. It's how it goes.
I didn't have enough time.
Oops, I do hear myself though, which is exciting.
Should be fixed now.
All right, let's find out. Sounds good. So you and I were talking earlier, and you had been doing some exciting things, which I have. I don't know. Maybe we'll still do for ZDTV this week, but it was about Kubernetes, and we have some people using OpenZiti and wanting to deploy in Kubernetes world. We have actually a few different people asking about Kubernetes related topics, right? It's been a
True.
very hot commodity lately. Something I think we've always known was probably coming. Like, I know other people at NetFoundry and the OpenZiti project have talked about enabling Kubernetes for a very long time. We did some tunneler sidecar work like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So
Yep.
it's just the constant challenge as to when and where and how do you devote your energies. Nowadays, there is enough of a activation energy, to go back to that whole motif that I've talked about before, to spend some serious time in the Kubernetes world, which is cool. And I know you've looked forward to this for a very long time. Is that true?
Yeah, I've been enjoying learning and tinkering with it, and I think it has great promise.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. So you had asked me earlier today, hey, what do you think is the uh, first step? When do we call the Kubernetes stuff D for done, right? And I
Well, I believe
said,
the word I used was milestone.
ship it, right? Just ship it. So
Yeah. When do we
you
start
did
showing
use
this?
Yeah, you did use the term milestone. And I said, well, how about you get anybody else's feedback? And I'm a good anybody. So I said, hey, I'll go and test drive whatever it is that you have out there, and we'll see, whether or not it comes online and works, and we'll goof around. And you and I were going to do it together. And I was like, hey, why don't we just fire up the old live stream and see if anybody wants to hang out and chat and, you know, play around just like we did yesterday. We did this with Z-Rock just yesterday even. So cool.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah, there might be some rough edges, but I think it's probably close enough that we can figure it out.
Well, what's amazing, I have this inane, in internal, inane, like implicit. I have a talent for being that rough edge. if there's a foot gun to be found, I'm like eagle eyes when it comes to finding foot guns. So
I'm sure there will
um,
be some stumbling
So I'm
blocks.
a fantastic person that and I also have a very low amount of personal worry that people think I'm stupid. So I'm happy to be the fool and to play the fool and to do all the dumb things. And
Not
who
afraid
knows,
to
maybe
ask.
not afraid. That's right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
good.
hopefully you or somebody else will tell me, what and where went wrong. Like the other day, I was trying to use Amazon's Route 53, and I'd never done it before. And turns out we didn't have a DNS name, and Route 53 doesn't just provision it for you like I expected it to. Silly me. You have to already have it registered somewhere. I just expected Route 53 to handle that for me, but it didn't.
Yeah,
So let's try some Kubernetes stuff, shall we?
sure.
The first question is, where am I going to run it? Which I guess I'm going to run it on my local computer, not out
Yeah,
here in Amazon land.
you're going to be the lab rat this time, so you'll need to
Yeah.
share your screen and follow a
Ooh,
bunch of instructions.
thanks for telling me that, because I had forgotten I had not shared my screen. Let's go with this perspective.
All right.
Uh, and
Yep,
then that's
Minikube
pretty
being
legible.
like a Kubernetes cluster in a box. You can, we should be able to get it working with that just fine.
Well, we're going to
Using
find out. So one of the things
similar
you
to
and
the
I
way, similar to the way that the OpenZT Quickstarts work, where everything's on localhost, then we can just use localhost for our network address
I feel
for
like
easy stuff.
you're jumping ahead on me already, Ken. You know more than me on all of this. You've done this before. I wanted to provide you the, you know, old developer who's done a lot of stuff before but hasn't done this before perspective. So I think it'd be better if I just drive and you can watch, and then whenever I fall off the road, you can just shove me back on. So Minikube isn't started, and I haven't used Mini. I have it installed, which was amazing. I wasn't sure if it would even be installed still. Let's see if there's a version on it. I don't know what version Minikube is up to. Let's see, Minikube version. See what version Minikube is. Hang on, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna turn off my bookmarks so we can see
I
this.
have version 1.29.
1.2.9. It's so much newer than 1.2.3. Okay. Well, or we'll use 123 and we'll see if that works out. Is that all
Should
right
work
with
just
you?
fine.
I would think so. All right. So I got a mini cube start of the
So
little
you're going to use your
icons.
default Minikube profile then.
Again, I don't even know what I'm doing really. I've just done this before. My expectation is I'm going to
Well,
find some
if you
chart.
do a stop and then start with a profile name, then we'll know that we have a pristine cluster starting from scratch. If you just say Minikube start, then we're going to use whatever you've got
Might be
stored,
some junk
and
left around,
there
is what
might
you're
be some
saying.
stuff in there. Yeah,
Gotcha. Well, oh look, it's even trying to go to 129. Download it. Whatever. I'm waiting for it. Do will it recreate this Minikube container each time, or is it just a one? It's using Docker right now, right?
it's downloading the
Or
container
the
image.
image?
Yeah, for whatever version of that container, whatever image is specified in your default profile.
Okay. So
I
what's
say
the?
we just go with it because it doesn't look like you've got one. It doesn't look like you've used it recently enough to matter.
I do like all these little icons. That's very nice.
Terminal emoji. You know,
Yeah, especially this
there's
one.
an entire programming language somebody built with emoji.
Is that right? My wife is an English teacher, and she has done this whole entire lesson plan, or used to be an English teacher, and she's done a whole lesson plan on how humanity is basically reverting to hieroglyphics
Right.
around for communication. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so it looks like Minikube is started,
All right, you got
it
yourself some Kubernetes.
and it wasn't pulled. So if I do cube, let's see if kubectls on my, it is. Look at that. So I can list pods, right?
Get
No
pods.
get pods. See,
You want me to help you with hints like that, or were you saying just let you?
definitely, I
Yeah.
definitely
Okay.
appreciate that sort of hint. Yeah, because that like that's just stupid mechanics, right? All right. So now I know I want to install OpenZiti into my local running Minikube. So Ken,
Yep.
I'm usually I would do some sort of Helm install type of thing. Is that what I'm going to do here?
That is what you're going to do. Usually you would follow a doc or a video or something, but we're making that video right now and I haven't written the docs yet. So I'm just going to have to tell you
Yeah, I
exactly
don't
how
know
it
if we're gonna
works.
make it in the video right here. We are
Maybe we'll
trialing.
make a better video, a shorter
Yeah,
video. Yeah, that just
exactly.
gets right to the point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, just the happy path, documentary style.
yeah.
So you're going to need to go into the Helm charts repo since we haven't published the
Okay.
charts yet. You're going to need to use your Git checkout.
Clear. And OpenZT git clone probably HTTPS. Actually, let's just make sure I don't have it. Is it called just Helm charts? What's it called?
Yeah, the repo name is Helm-charts.
That one. Not that one. Oh, that's all I got. Nothing. Okay, fine. Git GitHub. Git clone this OpenZT Helm hyphen charts.
Then that
Does
could be a different repo.
who
And
knew? I'm gonna
check your remotes on that one.
let's look out.
That could be the old NetFoundry charts repo. Do git remote
Get
show
Helm chart.
dash
It's
c.
the right one.
It's the right one. Good, good.
Well,
All right.
I bet. So I actually SVN subversion used to have an info command,
Oh yeah.
and because I'm old and I remember
Ah,
subversion, I added a git
they
alias.
did that for. I'm gonna use that now. I always use remote show. Okay, so
Yeah, well, that's what it is. No, no,
check
that's
out my branch
that is
where.
what it is. So if I go to info,
Yeah. Okay.
So
There's your remote origin
now
URL.
you can put that in your here. Let me put it into your chat here. Uh,
A little pro tip.
get info to use. Come on, where's the space bar? To use get info. Add this get alias to your get config.
Oh,
Bam.
I see. That's an alias you created so that you could just say info.
Yep. So
I got you.
that's easy. I also have checkout, co, stuff like that,
I
right?
like
Like,
CO too, yeah.
yeah,
So check out my branch, do a get CO on controller, and then tab autocomplete. There you go. All right, we're in the right place, and we'll just use this as our working directory because we're just going to be using charts out of this branch.
cool.
Um, all right, now let me think. We're going to need to say Helm install, but we're going to need to give it some options. So
I have to find the chart.
no, it's just in a subdirectory named charts. We'll just reference it from right here. Or you can go into the charts directory if you want to save yourself a few keystrokes.
Do you need charts? I like saving keystrokes.
Yeah, that works good. We'll just work from right here then.
Helm
So yeah,
install.
say Helm install, and we're going to need to give it some options for our controller install command. So let's
Am
do,
I just installing ZD controller first?
yep.
Okay, so
Oh, you know
we
what?
don't have a
No,
ZD
we
stack.
did we did get ahead of ourselves. I forgot a couple of steps here. Please forgive me. The first thing we're going to need to do is install. We're going to need to add a Helm repo from JetStack, who provides Cert Manager. This is one of our chart dependencies, and we don't have those dependencies expressed in the chart yet, so we're just going to install it as a prerequisite.
Okay,
And so you're going to need to say Helm repo add. There you go. This will be cert dash manager, and then the URL is https:// charts.jetstack.io. Try that. Cool. So now
success.
we can do a,
Here, let me. I'm gonna grab all my little commands as I run them.
all right, that's a good idea. Now we're going to need to install the cert manager chart from that repo. So we'll say Helm install.
1 second. All right. Oops.
And
Here.
if it's easier
Helm.
for you to read, I can type it into
Oh, no, that's
chat.
fine. Just tell me what the Helm install
All right.
-F.
Helm install hyphen hyphen namespace
Equals
and
or no equals? Colon space equals.
space cert manager, cert dash manager,
No.
and then dash dash create dash namespace, then
Mm-hmm.
dash dash generate dash name space cert dash manager. This will be the repo that we're going to install from. Then without the space, do a / and the name of the chart, cert dash manager. And we're going to set one option to finish this up. So we need to say space dash dash set, and then camel caps install CRDs.
Space or no
Install
space.
uh, a space there. Yep. It actually works with or without the equal sign, but
Mm.
we'll just do space for consistency. So the word install, and then without a space, do uppercase C, uppercase R, uppercase D, lowercase s equals true. And no need for quotes or anything. That is,
CREs.
yep. Oh, CRD as in Delta. Good catch.
CRDs.
Yep. So this will install Cert Manager with the CRDs so that we can use it.
Should have some input or output or something. Should something be going on?
Yeah, and if in your other pane, if you want to watch your pods, we'll be able to see stuff happening. You can do you don't even need the watch command because it's built into Cube
Oh, is that
Control.
really?
Yep. You can say get pods dash capital A for all namespaces, and then dash W for watch.
It's not fancy.
So it'll just scroll whenever stuff is happening. So we see the init containers finished for cert manager, and now we have a good install. All right.
All right. What is Cert Manager?
Cert manager is going to add. It's going to basically it's a certificate authority. It's going to add new resource types to Kubernetes, like a certificate issuer, which is a CA, or a certificate. And that way, in our controller chart, we can say, "Hey, cert manager, make me some certs for stuff that I'm going to do."
Okay. Now, and this is not part of a chart, which is cool. So if I already had this installed or had my own, if I had my own Cert Manager but not Cert Manager, can I use whatever I wanted? Is there
As long as it's
another?
compatible with cert manager, because our chart uses the custom resources that are provided by cert manager, so that's going to
So
follow a spec.
sounds
Yeah,
like it's in Cert Manager. I assume is not a standard.
not part of Kubernetes, widely used but not part of Kubernetes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a caveat then. So it sounds like
And it's not
you
the only
must.
way. We could write our chart to generate the crypto itself.
And there is no Kubernetes API for this. Like it seems like the kind
Correct.
of thing that I'm surprised because like
Right. I
certs
mean,
are
that's why cert manager exists. Kubernetes is easily extended. You can add your own APIs to Kubernetes, to the Kubernetes API. That's what a CRD is. So we are just using cert manager, which is a widely used, practically a standard way of providing PKI
all
for
right.
apps in Kubernetes.
All right. All right. So I got Cert Manager.
All right, we're going to need another chart from the same repo. Helm install, same namespace, same generate name, only we don't need to create the namespace this time because we already did that. Same repo / trust manager instead of cert manager this time. And then we're going to, like last time, we're going to set one option. So -- set, it'll be all lowercase app.trust namespace equals Ziti controller. And that's going to give us an error because I forgot to tell you to create the namespace. But you can either copy it or run it and come back.
Let's see.
So let's do kube control, create namespace Ziti controller.
Am I making a namespace called ZD controller and not ZD overlay or just open ZD or something like that?
Generally, the kinds of partitions or separation that Kubernetes provides is based on namespaces. So when you
Yeah,
create
but
a
I would
namespace,
expect I would make one for ZD.
well, each component of Ziti should have its own namespace because they are different apps with different permissions, different secrets, that sort of thing. And all the apps running in the namespace will by default have the ability to read the secrets in that namespace. So the router doesn't need to read the controller's secrets.
So every time I added a new router, would I add a new namespace?
I would probably
Weird.
do that. Yeah,
Weird. All right.
a namespace for each app. Yep.
Okay. Installation failed. So apparently running it caused
Ah,
a side effect.
so do an upgrade instead of an install with the rest of it being the same. Or you can do an uninstall and then do the install again. Oh yeah, you got to
All right.
change generate name instead of the generate name. You'll just
Oh, uninstall. Here we come.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
What are
So
we doing? Let's see. So it's the
do a
same
helm list
namespace.
list -a and capital A. Okay, so there's the generated name cert dash. I'm sorry, trust manager number.
Yeah.
Now you need the release name, not the chart name. It's the very first column. Trust
Oh,
manager.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what you want to uninstall or upgrade, either one. Give it the namespace -n cert manager. You got it.
Whew. I mean, I'm gonna hang
Now your
on.
install command should
I
work.
always like to keep my uninstall commands too.
Sure.
Install cert manager, generate name, blah blah blah. Off we go. So
Yep.
instead of having this name generated. Could I take this out and supply it? Is that what that
Yes.
means? Gotcha.
I
Cool,
did
cool.
that because it saves you from managing like serial numbers if you're iterating
I,
through
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's why I always keep my uninstall commands because then I just uninstall it and reinstall it. But yeah,
right. So
cool.
this,
Cert
just like
manager,
Cert Manager added
trust
issuers
manager.
and certificates to your Kubernetes API, Trust Manager is going to add one more resource type, and that's a bundle, which is like a CA trust bundle. So now we can use that in our Helm chart to say, hey, controller, trust this list of CAs. And that's
Okay.
part of our controller config, which we'll see. All right, so now we can run our
The
Helm
pod still
install.
shows initializing. Should I wait?
Yeah, you should probably wait for a
Okay.
second. No, it says running. See how it's scrolling? That's the same pod.
See how it's scrolling.
It was scrolling, so
Oh,
it
oh,
was pod
that's
initializing, but now it, yeah, watch is a little
oh,
different on
I
here.
don't
It
like
shows
this.
you,
I like the regular watch then.
well, use the regular watch then.
Right?
You got
Watch.
choices.
I get choices. Cube, CTL, get pods.
Dash capital A for all name spaces.
Thanks. Yeah, okay. See, now I can get behind that. All
There's
right.
probably a way to sort it by age too, so that you see your newest pods at the top.
You
I
know,
don't know
but
how to
you
do
know
that.
who doesn't care?
Oh, is it that guy?
This
That
guy.
guy again. This guy just
All right,
doesn't
cool.
give a flip. All
None
right.
on that.
So do we have a ZD controller install command yet, or did I need to come up with
Haven't
that?
done it. Haven't done it yet.
All right. Install controller. I'm checking my notes. All right. So just like the other one, Helm install dash dash namespace or dash n for short. ZD cache controller. Yep, you already got that. Generate name or provide one.
Now, I'm looking at my prior command, and I'm wondering if I did it properly because I made the namespace and then I ran cert manager, generate name, trust manager, and it says trust app.trust.namespace equals ZD controller. That was what I wanted, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So
All
we
right
told
then.
Trust Manager to trust the ZD controller namespace. What that means is that Trust Manager will be allowed to uh, put a trust bundle in
I see.
the controller
In that
namespace.
namespace. Okay. All right,
Right.
cool. All right. So sorry, you were saying Helm install namespace, ZD
Yep.
controller,
And then either generate name or provide one.
generate name.
And then this the path to our chart, which is forward. We're in the current directory, so we're going to just install ZD controller. There you go. Now we're going to add
Just
one.
that?
Yep.
No
Yep. That's it. And then dash dash set camel caps client API dot. You got
truly
it.
camel caps like this.
Truly camel caps.
All right.
I believe it's called dromedary caps, not
Camel casing is all I call it.
camel casing. Camel case,
Yeah.
yeah, true camel casing is upper on the first letter, where dromedary is only first upper is the second word. Anyway, client
Mm,
API dot advertised host dromedary again, advertised uppercase host, got it, equals localhost.
mm,
So we could use
mm,
localhost, or we could fake DNS and just
Can I just use my host name?
I think it'll work as long as DNS will
Done.
resolve, or as long as you're willing to change the IP that resolves to.
Error validating data. You know what
I
that
just
means?
removed the Ziggy so I could read your screen.
Oh. Hmm.
I think the variable didn't work. Let me double check what you wrote. It actually looks right. Can you try it with localhost? I don't know why you're getting something different. All right. Well, it's a templating error. where it's trying to set the DNS SAN to localhost, but for some reason, client API dot advertised host isn't working. What is different about that's exactly the way I did it. Advertised host. Advertised host. Hmm.
Clean Kubernetes making a difference here? What if I just don't even supply it? Let's see what happens.
Well, it'll tell you that's required.
You must set client API.advertised host to a name IP that is reachable by edge clients. Well, I got news for you.
And
I
there's a
did. I did that.
and there's
Let's.
a typo in that hint that came back. It says set file. It should be set. I wonder if I can fix that without losing my train of thought. Um, can you try copy and pasting the characters? I wonder if it's like a terminal thing where it says in your terminal from the hint that came back, client API dot advertised host
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
equals something resolvable or something you can control.
Error validating empty. Usually means
Yeah,
something else was needed to be supplied that wasn't.
yeah, it's not setting. So it's
Is
like
it?
maybe a version of Helm that you have is oh, it's the dashes on your set. Well, they just look different in your terminal. They're
They're
just
dashes.
hyphens, right?
No, those are just minus minus.
Minus minus. Okay. All right. Well, let's try it with by putting the value in a file. Let's make a YAML file that we can reference from this directory. Same values, client API, colon, and the next line. So you got to make this into YAML. See how it's
Next
an
line,
object, it's a
like this.
reference. See where client API dot advertised host is like
Oh,
object reference. So you got
right,
to
right, 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 right.
colon, next line, indent. There you go. And then there you go.
Yeah, you happy with that?
Yep. So instead of saying set, we'll say dash dash values and then that file. Can I see the YAML again?
Need a colon on
Colon.
client API.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The restream status is like covering up that part of the screen, so I couldn't see it.
Well, here, let me. I can fix this too. Let me. We don't want to go boop boop too big. Here we go. There you go. I can get the background in there.
Weird. So that
Put Ziggy back.
this is like a Helm syntax error or something that I've got in the template.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's not triggering on mine when I run the same chart. Well, let me, I guess
Which template is it in? CA Web Identity is what I thought.
it's in CA dash router control identity, router control plane identity.
Router controller identity. Okay.
I hope it doesn't take too long for us to debug this. We got stuff to do.
Do I need this? No, that doesn't. That
So
won't be empty.
it's on line 119. That's control plane advertised host.
We're
Oh,
not
it's
using control plane.
well, that one's
We
needed
issued.
too, but it's I believe it should default to try setting both of them. I don't know how you could have different defaults than me though. We're on the same branch.
Like this control
Yeah.
plane advertised host.
Since the Helm error doesn't is unhelpful in that it doesn't show you the line of the template that actually failed. And if that doesn't work,
It seems to
well,
have chugged. It
all right.
chooched, as AVE might say.
So there's some difference in the way the defaults are propagating between your system and mine. All right, well, I'll have to take a note to follow up on that, but now we've got the advertised host for both. And are those variables are probably pretty self-explanatory for you. Client API, edge client API, control plane, router control plane.
How do I exec into into the container?
You would say kube control, exec. You need to get a namespace in there, -n, Ziti controller, then the name of the pod, and the command you want to run. And I think you probably have to do a -ti like you do with Docker, but you got to put it earlier. There you go.
Oh, really? PS is not a command.
Well, what's your goal?
The goal is to find where I wanted to understand. Oh, geez. I wanted to understand where my route controller configuration file was,
Hmm.
and then go look at it. That's what I
But you
wanted to
can
do.
see all that with kube control.
How do I see all that with cube control? Because this is so like as a guy who knows how to operate ZD, like already I have begun to fumble, as you can tell. So I would just
Hmm.
come in here and locate my oh my god, alias LL equals LS. Thank God.
Well,
All right.
I mean, execting into the container as a last resort is certainly fine, but all the tools exist outside of the container for like inspecting the container's configuration and that sort of thing.
It's funny that you consider that a last resort because I consider that the first resort. The last resort for me is to go learn yet another tool, i.e., Kubernetes. So I have no interest in doing that. I can just exec in the container and go find it. But let's do it the Kubernetes way. So how
All
do
right.
I inspect it, Ken?
So
Because
you
there's got to be
can,
some file in there that the ZD controller is reading. I just want to read that file.
all right. Let's take a look at the Kubernetes config. So let's say kubectl get config map.
But got to give it a namespace.
Yep, smart.
Hit config map.
Yep,
Hyphens are capital.
all one word. Um, oh, is get space config map is one word. Yep. So we're going to get the config map named config.
CF config
Hmm.
of this one.
We'll see the one right there. Yep. I just pointed at my screen like that would help you.
I figured it out though.
You did. All right. So let's change the output type to YAML on that. Dash little o space YAML. Now you're going to need to page that for
Woo!
something.
Let's throw that in the less. Okay. 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 Interesting. Okay. All right. Now I am now I need to remember exactly what I wanted to do this for. Why was I doing this? Not this. Not this. I had installed it. Why did I want to look at the file now, Ken? Now I've
I don't
lost
know.
all my
I don't
train of
know.
thought.
Well, you had a thought. You had a question.
I
Maybe
did.
it maybe it got answered by looking at the config.
I don't know. maybe, perhaps.
So
Okay.
the chart did a
Well,
bunch of work for us.
yep.
It created deployments for the controller. It created a way of storing the controller's config that you were just looking at. It also ran the initialization to create the database and stored that. So why don't we just peek at some of the stuff that got created in Kubernetes so you know that it's there and you know where it is. So do a kube control or a Z on your namespace for PVCs. Do get PVC. So you've got one storage volume here that's been bound for your controller. That's where your database lives. So Minikube provides storage that that deployments can claim, and whether or not that gets deleted when you uninstall the chart is really up to Minikube, how it's programmed. But that's where your storage is. So your database is in there in a 2 gig volume.
So
And
right now is port 1280 exposed?
let's do get services SVC. So you see how we have a pending on the external IP for our client API?
Mm-hmm.
That's because with Minikube, you need to start up a Minikube tunnel, which provides load balancing. So you can split your screen or something you're going to need to run in the background, you're going to need to run Minikube tunnel on the same Minikube profile.
This?
Yep. It's going to be asking for privilege escalation to manipulate IP addresses.
Will it actually ask here?
Well, that's what it's doing right now, but it's in the background, so you can't see the output. Or I'm just wrong and it works on your computer without asking for privilege escalation. All right. So
So
now
you're saying at this point, then there should be some sort of listener?
there should be an external IP as shown in your Cube Control services now that you've run the Minikube tunnel. So for each
Cube
Kubernetes
control.
distribution, well, for each, not for Kubernetes distribution per se, but for managed Kubernetes, for each instance of Kubernetes, they're going to be different ways of providing load balancing ingresses and such.
Looks like it just worked.
So your external IP is now 127.0.0.1. So you can try. There you go.
Cool.
There you go.
That was painless.
And we didn't expose your router control plane though. So
Hold the phone. Trying to open Ziti. Open Ziti.
you just want OpenZT to do everything, including
Open
OpenSSL
SSL. I'll get there
and
eventually.
SSH.
I'll get there eventually. All right.
So if you were to, there you go, you can check the subject and issuer on the cert that's coming back. You can just spit out those 2 fields if you want.
I was looking for. Can I do it with? I gotta pass it to X509, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Gotta pipe it. There you go. Say no out if you want to suppress the full certificate.
Where's the subject? Subject. There it is. Subject. Why is that so hard to see? Why do these other
It's
ones say
because there's a
depth?
bunch of standard error coming from the S client command.
So this doesn't tell me quite what I want. This is what I
I
want. All right, cool.
the
Super. That's what I want to see.
Do you have another controller running on that port? Because I'm not seeing the
Yes, maybe.
expected. That looks like the server certificate from a different controller to me. So if we get the subject,
Oh, whew, whew, look at all those.
there you
All
go.
right,
That's the
local
one
host,
from
ZD
your
controller,
main queue.
ZD controller, ZD controller, ZD controller, blah 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 blah, and SG3. All right, fantastic.
All right. So
So
we've
far,
looked
so
at.
good, Ken.
I realize now that we do need to do a Helm upgrade on your controller because we didn't expose the router control plane as the load balancer, and you're going to need that for your.
Let's hold the horses real quick. How do I log
Actually,
in?
I'm wrong about that. I'm wrong about that. Your router is going to be running in the same cluster, so it can use the internal cluster IP. So we're good.
How do I log in? My password.
You want to know what your password is?
I do.
It's a Kubernetes secret, so say z get secrets in the names. Well, that's it. That is in the namespace.
Secret or secrets?
Secret and
Admin secret. I got it. How do I? Was there a text?
it's
How
just
do I
base
get?
64 encoded.
How do I get it out?
I'll
The
send
value.
you. I'm gonna put a Go template that you can tack on to your cube control command into the chat. And so if you use that, if you put that on the end, then it'll just spit out the
Ugh,
secret.
ugh. It doesn't let me copy it. Ugh.
What if I put it into the private chat?
Try that. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, at least now everybody else can see what the hint was too. They could probably
Yeah.
copy it.
Yeah. This is base 64 encoded.
That's the
Oh,
decoding.
that's decoded.
That's the decoding.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yep,
Look at
yep.
that right there. Isn't that fancy?
So save that one. There you go.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Nice. Identities. How fancy. Fancy, Ken. Fancy.
Oh yeah. Well, we're not done yet.
All right.
It's nice to have a management API, but um, I think next, why don't we go ahead and do you want to do Zach too, or you just go straight to the router?
Let's just see it work first, shall we? Let's make a router.
Let's focus on end to end packets flowing.
Yep.
So we're gonna do a Helm install router next,
Helm
and
install
yep, just like
dash
before, you're gonna need namespace, create
namespace.
namespace.
Oh yeah. Cube
So it's gonna be
cdal
closer to that
create
first install command.
namespace. This is ZD router. Mhm. Oh,
Oh, I
whoop,
forgot
whoop,
to tell
whoop.
you to do ZDCLI create router because we're gonna need the JWT.
Okay. ZD edge create edge router Kubernetes EROQ JWT. Okay. Okay. Done those things. Now a Helm install namespace ZD router, and then generate name, and then don't tell me. Don't tell me. I want to see if I have my little cheat sheet here. Helm install. I've lost. I didn't copy my ZD history. Grep Helm. Oh, that's cute. I've got to run it up here is why. History pipe grep Helm. This one. Okay, this goes here. This comes up here. Okay. Now I got to run Minikube tunnel. Remember that too. Minikube tunnel. Now I can run Helm install namespace is ZD router generate name, and then helm install namespace generator /Ziti router. Oh, oh, I see why. Ziti -router. All right. And now I probably need some set. Or
So
should I
I've
make some
just put
values?
some. I sent you a chat hint to help you with
Sure did.
typing the set values.
All right.
Here's our enrollment
Set
token.
advertised host equals SG3. Set CTRL dot endpoint equals ZD controller dot ZD controller dot SVC SG3 colon 1280. What do you think, Ken? Will that work?
I think
I have issued your hint and gone on my own.
that's fine.
All right. Can't open K. Move K. No. K dot JWT to here. Okay, you must set advertised host to the IP endpoint.
Yeah, I messed up the default handling again, so you're just gonna have to say it twice. Say edge.advertised host and transport.advertised host. Take a note to fix that.
This
So
is, I need
add
trans,
edge. Yeah, you're gonna need two of them, two sets.
just two though, not three, right? Because before I just had advertised host.
Right. You don't need
Okay.
the right. The advertised host by itself is supposed to set both of them if
What
you
was the other
don't
one?
specify edge.
Yeah, edge.
Yeah.
All right. Let's catch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at that. The service ZD router requires privileges to be exposed.
We can also just change the defaults so that it doesn't require 443. I
That
forgot
would
to
that would be
do that.
nice.
Yeah. You want to do that? Just modify the chart values, or you can set it on. You can add additional set options to change the ports.
I'd like to do a router port.
All right.
Can I just control C this or should
Yeah,
I
you can
wait?
control C it. And you can do an
Okay.
uninstall on the generated name, or we can do an upgrade. In the
Release.
namespace.
Yeah.
Close.
So close.
There you go.
All right.
So to modify the port, it's going to be a set edge dot advertised port.
This.
Yep, camel caps just like that. Maybe 3022 would be the default, or whatever you want.
Oh yeah, that would be the default. Let's use
Yeah,
13022 because that's the way I
that's fine.
roll.
And then we're going to need
Hang
to do the
on,
same.
hold on.
No,
Generate name
no,
and
no.
also specify a name.
Do equals. Oh, generate name. There you go. Yeah, set is particular about that. So you need one more set command, transport.advertise port.
Oh, okay.
Namespace,
Yep.
or -n for short. So transport.advertised port.
Why is it called transport?
It's basically the link listener, transport binding for the link listener.
It should it should reflect what it is. Why
Well,
would you invent new terminology?
I didn't. That's a holdover from the author of the chart.
I gotcha.
I thought about
Transport,
changing it because I think it is a little confusing. I agree with you, but that's where
and
it
it should
comes from.
be the same value, right?
No, it's a different value. It's a different server.
So this is the link. Okay,
The
so
default
62,
is
62,
6004, I believe.
10,080, right?
Okay.
Okay, sure. I'm pretty sure it's
I
10,080.
tried to find. I looked it up to try to find the default, and I came up with 6004. But maybe I was just looking at an old
6,004.
example.
Where were you? Now I need to know,
I
bud.
think I did a ZD router, ZD CLI create config router, create config edge router. I could easily be wrong about
And
that.
grep I start
What is your source of truth here?
what the Quickstart produces, which I don't have. Okay.
You can run the
No,
ZD CLI with create config edge router, I think it is.
good. And then I'm looking for 100.
Should be
It was 10,000.
links. I believe links. No, that's the
Management.
wrong. That's
That's
a
the management.
deprecated API for the controller. You want the
Yeah,
router.
you're right. Arr.
So close.
Yeah, I didn't know there was more than one.
So you want
1080.
the top
All right.
level named
It's right there.
link. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. So
10,080 is the
Quickstart
default.
uses 10,080.
All right. Cool,
Does
cool.
that mean that's the default? Because it comes from the ZD create config command?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right. Cool, cool, cool. I got my command here.
Yep.
We good? All right. It's chugging. Hopefully my computer can handle it.
Yeah, you got
I'm
a bunch of stuff
streaming
running
at the
on
same time.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
streaming in the browser is always intensive. Minikube, Docker, Windows. All right.
Like the
Wait.
controller, the router deployment too has a small storage volume. And that's because the router, the latest version of the router needs to be able to write a state file. I think it's going to be an ephemeral state file. I don't think it needs to be persisted across restarts, but it's not yet clear. So right now in this chart, it's just a volume that stays with the deployment. Like the controller has a database, the router has a state file that it needs to write.
Controller has a database. What has a state file?
The router.
Is
It was
this
new.
this is the endpoints thing?
Yep.
Yeah, it should succeed without endpoints.
It
And
will, but in the current version, it doesn't.
yeah, is
That
that what
fix
we're
is
waiting
going
for
into the
here?
next
Like, what
one.
is what's the holdup?
Well, let's run a. It looks like container is creating on the main router. So I'd be curious to see. Oh, okay. So it's waiting for initialization to finish. See the post install job. Looks like one of those hasn't completed yet. At least one of them needs to finish. So maybe there's some problem with the
Well,
post install job, which is
could it
in a running state.
be because I have a couple of them? I have two post install jobs here.
Um, yeah, there's a little rough edge. It should only create one at a time. So I'll need to research why the Helm post install hook is spewing post install jobs.
How do I
But
kill those two?
only no need to do that. It'll manage them. So let's just do a describe on that pod, the most recent one. Yeah, do
This
your
one?
Z alias on or kube control namespace ZD router, and then describe pod. Yep, started container. Okay, and do a kube control log on the same pod instead of describe pod. Do just logs. So it's not enrolling.
Also, notice the image is old. Why is that? Did we not push a 27.5? I thought I did. I thought I hit the
Yeah,
button.
good question. It should have automatically published 27.5. If it didn't, if it did, that means that you already had 27.3 maybe in the same Docker cache, image cache that Cube
I
is
very well
using.
might. I might.
Yeah. Oh no, now I remember. The chart itself is calling for 27.3.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because it's part of the version of the chart itself, and I haven't bumped the version in the
Gotcha.
chart. Yeah.
Well, this thing looks, I mean, 4 minutes is about 3 minutes past my tolerance.
Yeah, let's look at the router's config. There's a config map for the router just like there was for the controller.
I'm going to need guidance on that one again. Let's see if I wrote it down. I don't think I did. I don't think I did.
It'll be kube
Cube.
control get config map in that namespace. Make it
I got it. I
YAML.
got it. I got it. Hang
You
up.
got
Yep.
to
Yep.
YAMLify.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
He knows.
Yep. 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 Let's see. When did I write that? I remember it was O.
So there's our initialization script, and it's not coming back. It looks like the ZD router enroll command wasn't finishing.
Which
So,
makes sense. So does that mean that the advertised host needs to be changed inside of Kubernetes land? Like I just expected the router to reach out to my actual network.
well, what did you put for? I don't remember, and maybe I wasn't looking over your shoulder at that moment, but when you did the Helm install router, what was the, can we look at the command? Because I'm suspecting that maybe you gave it the control plane endpoint. There you go. So this router actually needs a different value. No, that's advertised host. Where's the CTRL endpoint? Yeah, you gave it SG3, which can't be resolved inside the cluster. So that's the wrong
So
value
that
for
is
CTRL endpoint. Yeah,
so it sounds like it needs a timeout then as well, because this will just sit here forever, right?
the
Like it's
router,
trying
um, the
it's
router
trying to
enroll command.
yeah, it's reaching out and it'll never succeed.
Yeah. CTRL endpoint needs to be the cluster service domain name of the controller's CTRL service. So you can, yeah, I would just delete.
I do star. How do I
I
do
would delete I would do Helm uninstall on the chart.
uninstall
You'll be able to use the same JWT because it never got used.
namespace cd router?
You can do -n for short on
I
namespace.
know. I
Okay.
know. I know. You've told me that like 7 times. I'll try to remember.
I know how much you want to conserve keystrokes. So
And dash n is fine with me, but all right. I still need to kill all these other pods that are. I got
no,
an
no, no,
error.
you don't.
No.
They'll take care of themselves. Yeah. What you're seeing with the watch is anyway. It should. No, I'm wrong about that. You do have to delete the post install jobs. that's another problem I need to solve. They don't clean up after themselves. The post install hook thing is definitely a little sloppy at this point. And I forgot that you were using the regular watch command, not the cube control watch. So I misinterpreted your output.
Ooh. Can I minus F? Can I force it?
Well,
Because
the
it's
good news
terminating.
is that it there that's good enough. It'll take care of itself from there.
Okay.
And you already did you already
Still
did a
hasn't.
delete. You
It
already
still
did a
hasn't.
delete on the one that's in error state.
I don't know. Never returned. Neither of these returned.
All right. So yeah, those are just waiting on the ZD edge, the ZD router enroll command to return. It's hung,
Right. Right.
and they'll exit and terminate whenever that finishes, whenever that times out. We can move on.
Can't force
So
it.
yeah, we need to change our install command for the router
I can't
to,
force it to kill it. How do I force it? There must be a way to just. Oh, never mind. Never mind. All right. Ken, your patience level is like right here. Mine's.
well, it's done now, so you're good.
It's done now.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
Um, well, let's use our kube control to find the right domain name for the cluster service. So we're going to do get SVC in the control for the controller namespace. That's short for services, I believe. And see the very first column where it ends in CTRL. That's the domain name inside the controller namespace. So that's going to be the first part of our value for the CTRL endpoint.
Okay.
So just put that on your clipboard, and then let's compose our install command for the router.
Okay.
Can you recall that from your history? So we just have to change that one thing.
One moment. There you go.
Alrighty. So we're at one of your set values is CTRL endpoint. And that's what we want. Oh, you've already got it in there. Great. So just add to the end of what you just pasted before the colon, the rest of the domain name, which will be dot zd-controller
Yep. Keep going.
dot svc.
That's it.
Yep, that's your cluster internal domain name for that service. Looks good.
Hmm.
CTRL endpoint. I think we forgot to put the port on there.
It's got 1280 on it.
Well, 1280 is the wrong port. That's the Edge API, but we need to talk to the control plane API.
Ah. Well, this is fun.
So it
And
wasn't the problem I thought, but it was close. Yeah,
and the port
yeah.
is
Wasn't it 6022 or something like that?
6262 is the usual default.
6262, yeah.
Right. Helm uninstall ZD router.
There you go. You can set up autocomplete for that too.
Got it autocomplete. Yep. Paste.
Have you got some garbage in there?
I don't think so. I think it's just Windows terminal being shitty.
Oh, okay.
Post install. Oh, you're still gonna be like that. Ugh. Yeah, here's exactly what I copied.
All right.
6262. It just pastes funny for reasons that are unknowable. It still is clearly hung.
6262. All right.
Again, this would be
Well,
where I would exec into the container and verify that I can reach one place and the other place because it's
yeah. I
just
mean, we can
easier.
do that, and that's great for troubleshooting. But it doesn't need to be that exact container. You can run any container that you want. So let's do a kube control run. Let's just run the Quickstart container, which will have your
Am I
familiar.
not permitted to just exec into the one that's right there running?
You can, but it's not going to have the commands that you expect because it's a thin image. So
Oh, so you're saying if I run the quick start, which is yet a different image, then I'll have the tools that I'm desiring.
you
I
can run
see.
any container image you want in any namespace, and
Gotcha.
then we can basically test the network perspective of that namespace against our assumptions. So you can say kube control it. You've got that part. Your command is
Exec.
run in the no, it's run, not
I'll
exec.
run.
Yep, and you're going to need to give it a name like ZDCLI or
At the
Quickstart.
end, don't, or like
Right
minus
there
minus
after.
like this.
Um, so you've given it I, you gave it T. Did you give it an RM?
Nope.
Dash dash RM, and then restart equals never. Dash dash restart equals uppercase never.
Image not set.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't need
almost at
restarting
that
that.
point.
I don't need to restart never. I'm going to just remove it.
All right, so give it dash dash image equals. There you go. And then dash dash command after the image name. And then a space, and then your hyphen hyphen. After dash dash command, you need a space, and then hyphen hyphen space bash. That's so it created a pod named bash, which you need to delete. There you go. And you can give this one that you're going to run a name as well, so you'll be able to refer to it by putting a positional anywhere before the image, actually anywhere before the dash dash.
You were saying something on this
So
now?
right before, actually go right before command and put the name of the container. So this will be like my ZD test or my troubleshooting container or whatever. Yeah, there you go. So now you don't have the volumes, but should be able to talk to the same network address.
Yeah, that's there. So that worked.
It's a different domain name. It'll be dash client. Sorry, dash MGMT for the management API.
Okay.
Nope, I lied. It's dash client because they're not split in your configuration. They're one API, so it's dash client. There you go.
Client. What did I use for a password?
You can run your get secret command again.
Oh, that's what it was. That's right. Can I run kubectl from inside?
Can
I
you
don't have
run
it on this.
Can you run kubectl inside the Quickstart container?
Yeah.
You can actually if it's installed, but what it'll do is it'll use the default service account of that namespace since a special one hasn't been provided to that container,
Gotcha.
which is not going to have the same
Oh my
permissions
god.
as you have on your laptop. It would be able to get the router secrets, but not the controller secret. There you go.
Oh shoot.
There you go.
All right. All right. Well, okay.
Doesn't show up
Now,
in enroll.
no, this is still running.
Something's wrong with enrollment. Let's check our cluster. So we can actually talk to the cluster service. You ran your Quickstart container inside the router namespace, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we verified that that router namespace can see the control plane API because you got a certificate back from CTRL service.
Yes, I was able to connect using OpenSSL,
All
and I was
right.
able to log in. Both of those
And I,
things succeeded.
right. Well,
I was going
the
to get
router doesn't
my
need to use the router doesn't use the management API. It's only talking to the CTRL endpoint.
yeah,
So
sure.
so so maybe we can run maybe inside the post install job container. You can just can you run the enroll command with verbose?
Well, that's why. Yeah. Yep.
You can see
Q.
exactly the command that it's running in the log from that container. Maybe there's an error on the first one since it ran more than one.
Yeah.
What's the oldest one? That would be the one ending DHN, the third from the bottom, post install job. What does the log say on that one? I don't know if we ever made sure that we were looking at the oldest one. Definitely a rough edge with the way those hooks are working right now. Need to figure out how to smooth that out.
It just stuck.
So now we can, let's exec into that container. Can you run that with verbose?
Okay. This is good. Let's see where it's going to. It's binding on 6004. That's not expected.
Link listener, bind,
They're they're they're
TLS.
they're just different. Like those should be the same. They need to
Well,
be the same.
you can't bind a host name, you have to bind an interface. And the advertise is what the edge clients will use to talk to
The
what
ports
the
are different.
routers will use to
The,
talk to the link
the
listener.
yeah, the ports are different though.
Right, but there's no expectation that they're the same since we have a container port and an advertised port for the load balancer.
So
Oh,
Kubernetes will take care of that. I mean,
um,
this is just incidental anyway, but
sure, right, because we don't have a second router trying to talk to the link listener. But you're right, it could be an error. So we're trying to talk to the controller on the right place.
Is this expected to be not replaced in here?
It's an environment variable inside the router config because when we initialize, that is, when we perform the enrollment, we have to write, the router process is going to actually generate the key and obtain the certificate and write it out to a file. So since it's running in Kubernetes, it has to write that to a temporary file location, not where it's going to be mounted when the router actually runs. And so the second step of the initialization is that it runs kube control to put that secret, to put that PKI into a secret.
What, did it just exit? Oh yeah, look at that. It did exit and it errored. It's like it just kicked me out. I was very confused on that. All right, so bash install. Oh, it's not 708. It's 708.
Yeah. Looks like it's trying again. And you just got kicked out.
Sure did. That's a bummer.
So are you able to write into the file system where it's trying to, where that
So to
environment variable is pointing?
just let me take a second here.
Sure.
You are telling me that this is a template which is meant to be deparameterized, correct?
Well, no, it's not a template. It's a config. It's a router config, and Ziti router will interpolate environment variables inside the config.
Is that new?
No, the
That's new to
controller does it
me.
too. Yeah.
Also new to me. Um, I
So I
see.
guess that means it's a Go template. Or no,
Uh,
there would be different syntax if it was just a Go template. So the
I don't know. That's just like
yeah,
I said. That's new to me. So if I echo this, okay. So you're saying that at that location I should
there should
find
be a storage
certificates.
volume mounted there. Not a storage volume. Sorry, it's a temporary directory. It's just inside the container. But you should be able to write into that directory. It should exist. No error. Cool. Um, so can we do the enroll command with verbose?
Sure. It's over here.
I'm curious why it's just stuck. It doesn't. It's not telling us what the problem is.
It's
There we
stuck
go.
because it's attaching to a location that it can't reach.
But it is reachable.
Well, it was reachable from the other container. It's just straight up stuck.
Do you have curl or wget inside this container?
No, I don't have LL.
That's not a command. That's a
I
shell
don't
alias.
have PS either. How about that? Let's see. Curl. Hey, curl exists.
Yeah. So you should be able to
Let's see,
reach
where's
the
that?
CTRL endpoint.
Indeed.
Try HTTPS since it's SSL. It's
It
expecting a
again
client
it
certificate.
got an empty response from the server. It worked.
True. Okay. Yeah, it's not a connection refused.
Nope.
So the port is there,
Yep.
and the verbose on the enroll command that doesn't tell us anything, does it?
And doesn't tell us diddly. Diddly squat. CD router enroll blah JWT. Yeah. Does it have apt? Can I even sudo? Probably can't even sudo.
You cannot.
Yeah. Let me go back to the Quickstart container. Well, actually, I was gonna make a new whole router. All right. Well, perhaps this is a place for the rough edge to be sanded off. we followed the. I mean, I followed the instructions minus the couple of little changes that I tried to do. Right. This like,
Yeah, I
do
really
you
need.
want to
I really
keep
need.
debugging this, or do you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm game to keep trying. I
Okay.
really need more from the enroll command. I need to know why it's stuck because it seems to be able to communicate with the right place.
Yeah.
I need the enroll command to tell me what it's doing or why it can't do that.
Well,
I didn't read everything that came out from the debug from the verbose enroll.
there was
Did you
nothing
already assess
that
that?
you no you. I think you did see it all. Let me bring it back here.
All right.
We'll clear the screen. Okay, there's no clear.
So
Like that's the entirety of the debug output.
so it's just the debug log about the version check. That's the
That's
only
all it
thing.
is, and then it seems to be hung up right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can try it with we could try bumping the chart version to bring us up to 0.27.5 and see if that changes anything.
I don't think that's going to make a difference. Um,
You can change it in the chart YAML to
yeah, I just don't
0.27.5.
think that's going to make a difference. Like, there's not going to be any additional information. Um, let's see. So this is the commit. This is the command we ran. There's the YAML file. There's the enrollment token. Let's cat that and make sure that's okay. That's a thing. And then let's look at this. There's no clear CLS, nothing. All right.
Should be able to say less if you want to page through it.
Oh, I was going to just scroll.
Yeah.
There's this. There's that. That shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter. That should not matter. Uh, all that's yeah. See, it's a such a small config file.
Yeah.
It really is just can it connect to this or
Right.
can't it? And
Yeah.
it clearly could.
Yeah.
Why would it? All right, so let's look at the logs of the router or the controller.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
CD controller.
What's the dash F for? Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, thanks. Good question. All right, let's see if this gets anything when we run the roll.
All right.
Doesn't even look like it's making it there. What's the dealio?
Can we look at our Cube Control services for the controller namespace again?
Cube control services.
I know we already looked at that, but I just wonder if I
Did
missed
I?
something.
No, I still got this. Cube control services. Yeah, let me just exit. Cube control. Or which namespace?
The
Router?
controller.
Controller. You can see,
6262.
yeah, you can see 6262.
Yeah. And if you do a curl HTTPS to that name, does it give you
From where?
from inside the install job, post install job container or the same or the Quickstart container in the router namespace? I just want to see it do an SSL handshake and fail
I'm
with
going to go to the
you didn't,
cluster IP
that's this should be the same as the domain name, yeah.
and then
Same should give you
6262.
the same result.
Right?
6262. Yeah.
You can see that it made it there.
That's what I expected. No client certificate because it's waiting for client certificate verification.
Yeah, that's what I expected as well. Uh,
Well, have I got that wrong? Does the I thought that the router when it did its enrollment called the CTRL endpoint, but maybe it can't do that until after it's enrolled when it has a client cert. Does it call the Edge client API to enroll or does it call CTRL?
uh, I'm not sure I
It's
understand the
gotta be
difference, but
it's gotta be CTRL because that's
I
where
don't know what
the
CTRL means. So the controllers client API would be what I would expect the router to connect to. I do not
But it's
expect.
the router's config file points to the control plane API, CTRL. In the controller, you have several servers. One is for routers. It's called CTRL. It's called the router control plane, default port 6262. And you also have edge
Yeah.
client and management APIs, which are web bindings for edge
Oh,
client
oh,
stuff.
the JWTs could be taking care of that then.
Right,
The JWT is the enrollment. So
right.
that's
So
that's gonna will it have the
the
certificate?
only
No.
server URL the router knows about is the control plane API, CTRL, on port 6262, which is not the edge client API. That's a different server. It doesn't know about that URL unless it's inside the JWT, which is what you're thinking now, right?
Yeah. The URL for the controller is inside of it. I want to see if it's the right URL. It is not.
Ah, that's our problem. It's trying to call the Edge client API to enroll, and it can't because, well, where did it get that? Oh, the advertised. Right, right. Now I understand. Okay, so when you do your controller install, you gave it a globally advertised name, but Ziti requires that its edge client is a globally resolvable. So it has to be resolvable from inside and outside the cluster if we're going to run the router inside the cluster.
So
All edge clients, yeah,
SG3 1280 is available outside of the cluster.
but it has to be available inside the cluster too. It has to be available everywhere you're going to run ZD stuff. ZD software always needs to be able to resolve the name globally.
Well, the terminology you're using is incorrect from my perspective. You're talking about scoped inside of Kubernetes globally, but I'm talking about
No, I mean
outside of
everywhere.
Kubernetes. What do you mean literally globally? Like it
Yes.
needs to. Okay, well,
Well,
we
like
can't have
I qualified it with
that.
the
It's got to
the
be addressable, not globally available.
it needs to be globally addressable by
No.
any ZD software that needs to talk to the controller.
Yes.
Anything,
Okay.
yeah,
It needs to be resolvable and addressable
right.
by the software talking to the controller, of which it's all one single machine. So do you see my difference between the word
Yes,
globally?
but you have
Yeah.
different zones. You have different contexts where you're running ZD software. One is inside the cluster and the other is on your laptop on the host. So the name that we choose for the Edge Client API advertised host needs to be resolvable from both. Um, so maybe Minikube has a trick up its sleeve that can provide a name server for us for cluster DNS.
The netutils.
Where are you now?
What provides dig? What's the
Which operating system are you on? The Quickstart?
Ubuntu? I think.
What'd you say?
Which of the packages provides dig from
Are you on a Debian distro?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. You're in the Quickstart container?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it would be, I think, bind 9 utils, bind 9 dash utils. You don't have a sudo command in that container.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you SU? I don't know how you
No.
would. You can
No.
also just change the user that, there you go.
Oh, fun.
uh,
I thought that would work.
Me too. You can definitely specify the run as user when you initialize a container.
Yeah, you can do it. I know for sure. I know for sure that works in Docker land.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kubectl run as user.
Or whatever OCI cube is using, it just needs to, it certainly has that. You just have to figure out what the syntax is. Give it a dash dash privileged. Try that. It looks like it
Uh,
might be a constraint on the namespace itself.
Oh, I spell privileged.
Privile
With a D?
with a D.
No. User root cannot create
Forbidden.
resources. Is the blank namespace. Oh, okay. What if I do it in the namespace? Oh, I already gave it Ziti router. Why does it think it's the blank namespace then?
It's API group
Oh, in the
blank
I.
in
That's
the
why.
router namespace. Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's see what happens. Stymied at every turn, Ken. All right. I was
Well,
trying to do that because I wanted to resolve SG3 from within the Kubernetes running
right.
Minikube.
So if your host can provide a name server for the cluster as well as any other ZD software running on your laptop, then this will work because
I
the
have a Raspberry. I have a Pi hole. I can just assign a name to it.
there you go. Yeah, just any name, any string that looks like a domain name with a dot in it will should be fine.
See, that's why I was trying to dig from inside of it because this is
You've
my
already
IP
done that.
address. Well, this is my. I mean, it's. I
Well,
knew
this
that it
needs
was
to resolve
available.
to the controller, remember?
Sorry.
This needs to resolve to the controller's load balancer IP.
When you say this needs, I am confused because
The name
the
S
router needs to be able to resolve whatever's in the JWT, and the JWT has SG3 colon 1280.
right. So and when you probably need to change what's showing up in the JWT by changing the advertised host for the edge in the controller config.
But then now Clint the user can't use his host name anymore. Now Clint the user has to go and futz with hosts files and all that sort of stuff. I used my host name specifically to try to avoid this.
Right, but your host name's IP. So correct me if I'm wrong, but SG3 resolves to your host IP, correct?
Yep.
What is that IP?
192.168. No, it's not 56. 192.168.1.147.
It looks like you're getting a DNS round robin response of all of those.
Does look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
These are probably
So they
inside
would
of.
all have to be true for us to use that. They would all have to point to not your computer, but your load balancer IP provided by Minikube Tunnel.
Also, interestingly enough, Windows can't resolve SG3. So I'm just going to go make a
Let's
domain
make a
name.
new domain name for.
So
We
annoying.
need to make a domain name like
Yeah, I'm
edge.z
going
myzd cluster or
to. Yeah.
whatever, and then and the IP that you're going to give it is what shows up as the external IP in Cube Control Services. The IP you're going to give it is from Cube Control Get Services.
Oh, man. Hang on one second. Cube control get services?
Yes, in the controller namespace. See the external IP. Okay. Hang on, let me figure
Wall
out
after wall. Also,
why did your
hilariously,
Minikube tunnel give it an external IP of 127 instead of a real external IP? That is a load balancer. It should be a real because it's probably because of the version of well, see that won't work because the router when it tries to go to that IP will go to its loopback interface and it will not hairpin through the load balancer. So we need to change the configuration of Minikube tunnel to give us a routable IP that we can so we can hairpin the router through the load balancer.
whew, whew.
When I did this, Minikube Tunnel gave me a routable IP, not 127.0.0.1. Set tunnel bind address. So when you say Minikube Tunnel, you can give it a --bind address. Maybe make that your like your Wi-Fi LAN IP for your host.
With this?
Yeah, try that. So you need to upgrade Minikube to be able to do that, I guess.
Why do you think that?
Because my
Oh, unknown flag.
.29 version of Minikube has the bind address.
Unknown flag. All right.
Yeah. That's probably why we got a different behavior. You could also just try running Minikube Tunnel help to see what it's got, what it does have. Maybe there's another way to configure the IP that it's using. --help.
Yeah, yeah. I know how to maximize the pane. Clean up options. Not a whole lot of.
Yes, the new version has cleanup too, but it adds a bind address option.
Okay. Hmm.
So this is one of those cases where it's actually easier to deploy this globally, like
Somewhere out. Yeah.
in a cloud, than it is locally, because you have to provide infrastructure that would just be taken as granted in a cloud environment.
Yep.
But that is the challenge of the Quickstart, and I think we should still solve it for that, because it is very powerful to be able to run it locally.
For sure. For
Yeah.
for sure.
Making that really flexible so that it works on a wide variety of computers is yet another problem, but I think we can do it
So,
for
like the easiest way to do
most.
this for people who don't have a Pi hole is to run and update your hosts file, right?
Well, that still has to be a name server that DNS clients can query, because anything
Yeah.
running inside the cluster, it's going to follow the hierarchy. It's going to fall back to the name services that are being provided by Minikube. So Minicube's going to have its own internal name server, but then it should fall back to whatever the system has as the next name server. You'd have to run a name server, not just modify the Etsy hosts. I was wrong about that.
Um yeah, I don't know. Well, in my world that may be sufficient. Like in Linux, if you modify the hosts and somebody queries the running local domain server, it will not consult the hosts file. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. There are some name servers that do get records from the Etsy host file. I don't have a good inventory
Sure,
for
sure.
you, but
All right.
it's not
So
expected, yeah, for most of them.
I can understand that. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, when we know what the problem is, it'd be great if router edge if a router enroll command actually said what it was trying to do, or gave an error, or had like a shorter timeout or something. But it's trying to talk to the Edge API, and it's getting the Edge API URL from the JWT, and so that needs to be globally resolvable, which is clearly spelled out in the config reference, but I keep forgetting that it has to be addressable from everywhere.
Okay. So what if we start over? I ditch using my host name and I reference ZD hyphen controller instead. And then I
So
outside of my like I do this for Docker already, right? Like
yeah,
in my hosts file, I'll map ZD controller to 127 and things should work.
it will work with a slight adjustment. I like where you're going with this. You need to set the controller's advertised host not to ZD-controller, but to the actual domain name. It'll have to be a domain name that's resolvable inside the cluster by the router.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means
That's
that
why I
when you
thought ZD hyphen controller would work.
Well, you need to qualify that since they're coming from the router namespace. You need to give it the dot namespace, and then for good measure, the dot svc.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So that means that when we do the Helm install controller, we need to choose a predictable release name instead of generate name because they need to be
I'm
set
gonna
at the same time.
uninstall. I'm gonna uninstall ZD router,
Yep, uninstall the router and uninstall the controller.
and then all these are in error. I can leave
Yeah,
them.
they're detritus. You can leave them or you can delete them
I'm
if it
gonna
makes
kill
you,
them.
yeah.
Kubectl ZD router delete pod. This feels better. All right, feels better already. Good. Helm uninstall the controller. ZD controller. Back to basics. All right,
All
all
right.
right, all right. All right,
So
let's try
now
it.
when we do our controller install command, we need to make a few adjustments.
Helm install CD controller.
Instead of generate name, we're just going to specify a like ZD controller.
Can we just replace this, or do
Yep.
we do minus minus name?
Just it's a positional. There's no dash dash, no minus minus. Just that's right. That's right.
Okay,
So that'll be the first part of the domain name that the controller uses to look up the Edge API.
want to do that now?
Well, we need to make sure that we set an advertised. So we used a values file. Yeah, so we need to set advertised host to zd-controller dot zd-controller dot svc, and I forgot to say it's zd-controller dash client for the client API, and it's dash ctrl for the control plane.
That is incredibly confusing to me, but okay.
Well, they're different servers, so they have and services, so they have different domain names. So
Okay.
change client to ctrl
Oh,
on the
I
second
see.
one.
I
Yeah.
see.
The name of that server in Ziti is CTRL.
I mean, we can debate on that, but
No,
okay.
it's in the controller
I,
config.
I know that the name of the config block that is in, that the ZD controller runs and reads is called CTRL. I know that.
Yeah, that's the one we're referring to.
The control plane is how I refer to it, but
That's right. Me
still,
too.
I don't quite understand why they're different hosts. That's what I don't understand because they're the same
Because,
host to me.
well, the so whenever you're dealing with reverse proxies and infrastructure, the easiest way, one of several ways to multiplex your like to virtualize services is by domain name.
Okay, but like, are you doing this just because you can, or because you deem it to be the best practice?
Well, for example, if we overloaded a domain name and then somebody said, "Well, I want to advertise port 443 for both of them," they wouldn't be able to deploy because that port would be taken for that name.
That's right. Right. So, okay, okay. Now are you ready to run this?
Yep.
Okay, off that goes. Let's go back to my little notes. I'm gonna change this cat can. Okay,
Looks good.
and run minikube tunnel. Okay,
Yep.
I gotta get my secret back out.
So it'll just, you can
Ooh.
Just dash admin. Looks like it's leaving behind the secrets too. It's
Oh,
not
it is
that one. It's
dash
the one
admin.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
I see
without
it.
the serial number. There you go. Because the secret name is based on the release name from your Helm install.
It's minus OEM, right?
Yep, that's the one.
Why does it look so different? Let
Well,
me just.
you need your Go template to get the
Oh,
first
that's
bit.
why.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's why it looks so different. Because this time I forgot. ZDPWD equals that. Okay.
Yep.
Copy that because it's a good idea. Right here. Boom. All right. And it looks like it is running. So now I should be able to run, and now this is going to change, right? The Edge advertised host. I don't want this to be SG3 anymore. I would imagine I would want this to be, I would want it to be ZD. Where's the ZD router thing that we did before? Where's the Helm install? Secret. Did I not
So
copy the Helm
this
install? I don't think I did. No, that's
the
not it.
the routers advertised hosts have two different audiences. The transport advertised host needs to be reachable, addressable by routers. And if we're only going to have one, we won't have to worry about that. If we're your edge advertised host needs to be addressable by edge SDKs. So just pick a name that will be resolvable from your laptop. I guess it should be ZD router dash edge maybe.
What is the
And then
name of the? How do I find the name of it inside of Kubernetes land?
do get services in the router namespace.
It wouldn't. It's not going to be there though, is it?
Right. Well, it's predictable based on my knowledge of with my knowledge of the chart. The because the name of the service will be based on the release name. So if you do Helm install and you name your release
Oh,
ZD router, then
that's the key. That's the key.
your service will be named release edge. Sorry, not the word release, but replace the word release with the name of your release. Whatever you're gonna, in this case, it would be ZD router edge. There you go. And then dot ZD router is the namespace dot SVC. That's sufficiently qualified.
All right.
And the name of the transport service is actually dash transport, but it won't come into play unless you have a second router trying to talk to the link
Well,
listener.
I'd like to make it work.
Yeah, make it transport. There you go. And then you'll
Okay.
need to add Etsy hosts for all three domain names that you're advertising.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. And
Once you
then
get the
this is
IP.
not the same. Now this is going to be just ZD controller.
Yep.
ZD controller dot
Dash
service. No, no,
CTRL.
minus CTRL.
There you go.
All right. That looks right, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
It looked right before, but you know.
Well, sure. Kubernetes qctl logs dash f dash n cd router cd router. Ugh.
No, you didn't create a new JWT with ZDCLI.
Point. All right. So now I'm going to do this.
That no, you need the edge endpoint for the controller to talk to the management API. No, actually, the IP is going to be provided by Minikube Tunnel, so you need to make sure that that's showing up as the external IP in in Cube Control Get Services. It was 127.0.0.1 last time we looked, but anyway, just to be strict about it, external IP 127.0.0.1 looks good.
Huh. Okay. Let's see. Does it show me the? No. All right. So I want this one. This one.
Control on the controller, transport on the router, and then edge on the router. That looks good. Now that's the wrong domain name. That's for your router control plane. You need the Edge client API on which is also the management API for the controller. So it'll be so we need a fourth DNS record for we need one more for the controller.
Client, you mean?
Yes,
But,
it is client.
but I want management.
Nope, we didn't split it, so it's just client. If you split it, then you'll need to have MGMT as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Might as well leave that in there for when you split it.
I left it.
There you go. Nice. And you're on your laptop here, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hmm. Excuse me. No, I just logged in.
Did it somehow save your context with paired with your directory?
Did not.
So that
I'm confused. I just logged in. I know I did.
you logged into somewhere.
I might, maybe I've copied something off of my clipboard. It's the only explanation. Z Edge login. Weird.
It seems like it worked and then it didn't and then it didn't and then it worked.
I must have highlighted something and copied something to my clipboard.
Oh, okay.
CD Edge create Edge router public. Let's see. We'll call it QBR.
Make sure to give it a dash
Cuber.
T. Make sure to give
Cuber.
it a Make sure to give it a dash T. There you go. And save it. Yeah, there you go.
All right. I like Cuber. That's a better, cuter name. CD Edge, kubectl, CD Edge create Edge router.
Cuber. And then Cuber. How does it know?
Okay. Helm
uninstall.
uninstall
Dash N namespace.
CD router.
It's pretty forgiving about which order those things come in. I like that. You got to delete the stuck post install job, I guess.
That's a kubectl job. Kubectl delete pod dash n CD router.
Just the post install job should be.
I'm getting rid of all of it.
All right. Did you already do uninstall router?
Thought I did.
Because it should clean up everything but the post install jobs. Those are the ones that we're getting hung.
I see. Doesn't want to get rid of it. Doesn't want to actually get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, it takes a second, I guess. So you already did an uninstall router, and now will it let you, even if that pod is still hanging around?
You want me to Control C this?
Yeah.
Okay. And now Helm install again.
Yep. What does it say? Host, hook post install job. Right. So it hasn't finalized deleting the job yet, even though it succeeded at uninstall.
Okay.
So
But now it looks like it's going to figure it out.
hey, it completed. That means it worked.
Oh, all right. I don't have to tell the logs then.
It
We
did
did it.
something. You might want to see it in the logs anyway,
Just to feel good.
just to redeem all of that pain.
You see the logs.
Namespace router.
Paste. No, I was trying to paste first.
Oh yeah.
Namespace CD. There you go.
Cool.
Secret created. So easy.
Oh my god. DNS, it's always DNS.
There's no way I
DNS is
would.
hard when you
All
try to
right.
make things generalized between local and global. All right. So did the router actually run after the post install job? It doesn't. I don't see it. I only see completed post install. I don't see.
Online equals false.
It looks like so it consumed the token, but it looks like it didn't run the router. Did we somehow get into a weird intermediate state with where we uninstalled it and then the post install job succeeded? That's what it seems like.
There's no logs for this thing. Can I just kill it?
And that's an old. Oh, I see. It's not set to pending. So what does our describe say on that pod that you just did the logs for? Describe gives you events, which is external to the container. Describe pod. Ah, yeah, therein lies the rub. Since we used a predictable release name, now it has to compete. Since the PVC is based on the release name,
And now this should have been removed, but it's not going to be, right? So I got to delete it.
yeah, that's correct. The post install jobs hanging around is a bug.
Okay.
It shouldn't be doing that.
Yep. All right. There's that. There's that. CD
Pick.
edge. List ERs. CD edge. Delete ER. The edge. Did I make it? Did I make it over here? The edge. Okay, I just typed it by now. CD edge. Create edge router. Cuber. Cuber. Okay. Okay. Now this should work, right?
Yep.
So look, it's this though. See that?
Yeah. The
And
it's
a
like the
crash loop.
uninstall didn't never finished cleaning up.
But I definitely checked down here to make sure that there was no ZD router.
Right, but there's a job controller that was still running that should have been cleaned up. Um,
There was a what?
a job controller. See where it says jobs.batch?
No, not yet. Jobs.
It's a different Kubernetes resource type called jobs with an upper J.
But
And
you see it here?
no, you would have to do get jobs to
Oh,
see it
okay. Okay. That's why I was confused. In the namespace?
in the router namespace.
Oh yeah.
So that last one, it completed, but it's still there. I'm
So
gonna
shall
have
we
to
clean all this up?
do a delete job on that one at least. Now make sure you've done an uninstall from Helm before you, yeah. And did your router get enrolled or no, it didn't because
I
it wasn't
keep
able to create the job.
I just
So
delete it anyway.
you can use the same router, JWT. Those post install jobs are pretty painful for this. They have made this really extra busy, extra tedious. I'm gonna have to
All right.
find a way to clean that up.
Okay.
I think we can use that one. No, I think we can use it because it never created the post install job, so it never burned the token.
Okay. Let's find out. Cat. Let's see. rmk.jwt cat cuber. All right, it's still there. Here we go. Container creating. Container running. Error. Crash loop back off. Container creating.
So the post install job went to error. Can we get the logs on the first one that ran? The oldest one, whichever that is. Looks like it ends with 25 seconds. WK6. The secret
So,
already exists.
so when you name it, you have various other problems to deal with.
When you reuse a name,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's also, we can also make the Helm chart clean up after itself better.
Yes, certainly.
Usability improvements. So we need to make sure we delete the job, delete the secret, and that should be it. Did you already delete the job?
Deleted the job, but not the secret.
It'll be in the router namespace.
You're right.
Yeah.
Do I need what about that token? Not a problem, right? Default
That's,
token.
you don't have to worry about that one. Yeah.
Good, good. All right. One more time. Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Never give up.
The
Never
tenacity.
surrender. Kubectl. Error and error. Ah!
I feel
Kubectl.
you. I feel you.
All right. Where's that alias? Logs. Ziti router. Post. Wow. Oldest one, 34. Post. Install job. Applied. This time it got burned.
What was that? Well,
The
what was the
token's
actual
not valid.
problem?
The token's not valid.
Oh, because we tried
Yeah, yeah, it
we
got
burned
burned.
it and then we tried to
Yeah,
stuff it into
yeah,
the secret,
yeah.
and that's where it failed after it burned it.
Okay. Helm install ZD router. Kubectl -n ZD router. Delete job. Oh, it's different every time. Okay, all right, good jobs. Okay, delete job, paste. Get jobs. Okay, get secrets. Shoot. Then There are oh, because it's Helm. I see. Helm uninstalls you. Did I run that?
Delete the job, delete the secret.
Yeah, but the secret never made it there this time, so it wasn't there.
Right. And Helm
So,
uninstall, Helm
yep,
reinstall,
yep.
scripting it out.
I just want to be able to copy and paste it next time.
You might have to send
Delete
me this. You've
secret.
done.
I'm gonna send you this. Yeah,
Those will be good
yeah.
notes for me to be like, what was the problem
Right,
again?
right. All right, all right, all right, all right. All right. ZD Edge delete list ERs.
I
ZD
kind of like that
Edge
you appreciate what
delete
I'm going through for this too.
delete ER paste. Oh, ZD Edge delete it. ZD Edge delete. Not thank you. ZD Edge create edge router. Where'd you go? I could have typed it by now again. Oh, it's on the other window. Well, Cuber. CD edge create edge router Cuber. There it goes. All right. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Actually, let me just copy this so I can stop having to find it. Okay. Copy. Paste. Hope. Hey, it disappeared that time. It didn't say failure.
That looks good.
That does look good. Cube CTL dash actually KZ logs this.
KR?
KR.
Nice.
She's a running. No, she's running in debug. I don't know if that's on purpose or not.
I probably threw a dash dash verbose in there at some point and
Yeah.
forgot about it.
Also worthy of noticing.
Yeah.
Edge router
Where is that
running
at?
on debug mode. KZ get pods.
Yeah, there's a verbose in the invocation. Or was. All right, now when you do get services on the router namespace, you should see good services and you should be able to get their certificates and stuff from your laptop. Oh, there's a handy alias.
trying to okay. So now I should be able to do an open SSL. Oh,
Yep,
I want to do cube router get services service.
yep.
So
There you go.
127, these two ports should now be available. Open SSL S client connect to no local host. And then pipe to open SSL X509 text. Well, localhost. Okay, that's really what I want to connect to anyway. So let's just make sure that still works. Okay, things should work now.
I think you're right.
Cool.
You
All
should be
right.
able to. I have a
Z.
script that creates a. If you don't have one, I have a script that runs all the ZD commands to create the policies and identities and all that stuff.
Uh,
You probably have it committed to memory too.
no. Actually, what I do is run the Quickstart, so it just takes care of it for me. Um, there are two policies you're referring to: the edge router policy and the service policies, or edge router service policies. Right? Those are the two you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of, yeah.
I'm
I
just
kind
gonna
of
put it in your chat so that you have it as a reference because I know it works.
well, I'm just thinking that the quick start should just add them for you and tell you to remove them if you don't want them because it's such a hassle. Oh wow, that's way more than I expected.
Create identity, create config.
But what you are missing, hilariously enough, is let's see, ZD CD2 Quickstart, Docker, image, access control. You're missing these from your list, which is the
Edge
most of.
create edge router policy.
Yeah, I don't see
No,
those in
they're in
your.
there.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, they're at the very, very bottom. Ah, see, I was so confused. I was looking for them first.
There's some inconsistent formatting in there.
No identity found. What is this all about? Blanket.
Did you create the identity at the top?
Um, I don't do. I shouldn't need to be honest. No identity default. CD, uh, CD, Edge, login. Why does
Does
this
it?
have no
It
identity?
seems to lose your session every time you change directory.
It's really unexpected. That must be a new bug. Must be a new bug. So weird. It's like it's deleting it. Oh, look at that. It's
Do you have
yeah.
an environment variable that it's trying to respect that maybe doesn't do what?
Probably ZD home. Pipe grab ZD.
Is it
Oh,
pointed at current directory or something? Is
honestly I don't know. This is new to me. I have never seen this particular problem. But
well, you don't need any ZD environment variables for this to work if you want to do unset or something like
I
that.
need ZD to work.
Yeah,
ZD
but
is what's not working.
just vanilla ZD without any ZD environment variables should work for this.
I know. I'm running ZD Edge Create and it doesn't work because ZD itself
I
is
know.
looking.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I
I
follow
don't know.
you.
What are you telling me then? What I don't understand.
Oh, I had jumped to the conclusion that you might have some uppercase ZD underscore environment variables that were changing the behavior of ZD CLI.
And that is plausible, but this right here, I mean, I can do an M from pipe to grep for Docker image PWD. That's it. So it's just strangely this should be looking in my home directory anyway,
Yeah.
and I don't know why it's not. Which is
Something to do with the quick start. Maybe do you have, if you do n grep z, will it show any ZD environment variables that could be influencing the behavior of the ZD CLI?
I mean, probably, but it would be influencing this location right here, which is why I searched for the word Docker. So, like, if I grep for capital ZD, it's just my password. That's the only thing that it could be. ZD home is the one that I know influences it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just kind of grasping in the
Again.
dark on that.
All right, I gotta log in again. I don't remember my password. I got my password right here. ZD Edge login localhost 1280. Yes, admin saved. So weird why it's doing that. All right, that's those two things. Now I have a little cheat sheet of my own. Where's that? Um, the Foundry. I remember where it is. Boop boop boop. Run those
So
things.
close.
Okay. Then I want to make myself an identity. ZDH create identity user. And then move this to slash mount v temp. I was able to register my identity. So now SSH to Quickstart. Oh, it probably doesn't have SSH on it. Yeah. All right. Well, that would have worked. Do you have a? Does your example have a sample service to attach to?
Yes.
All right. And webhook senders is what I need. So create an identity. I don't need that. Create the config service policy. All those things. The edge update identity. Quick senders. Webhook.zd. Curl webhook.zd. Connection refused.
Did you run the server?
No. There's a server command in here.
There's a Docker
Oh,
run.
hey.
You need to
Does that
enroll the identity.
does that Docker? Okay, so this is not using the Kubernetes API. Then it is using some other entity. Is
Right. In
if
this
I
case,
run it
yeah.
if I run it in Docker, is it going to succeed? This is I'm running this in Kubernetes land.
Well, as long as it can. No, it's not.
Sweet.
No.
What's the Kubernetes API?
Oh, no, there is a way. There's a way
I
it
can.
might work. There's a way it might work.
What's the
Because,
Kubernetes API? I can just scroll to that.
well, you would need to. We can do a helm install z host with
I
the
have
JWT.
I have a router, my man. I have a router in Tuttler mode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. In my mind, I'm keeping them separate, like the. But yeah, we could totally use the router to do that. That's fine. You just need to create a hosting config that describes your Kubernetes API server.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've already given me the meat and potatoes of it right here. I just need to know the URL of it.
Oh, it's kubernetes.default.svc.
Oh, well, that's super easy. All right. So instead of webhook intercept config, actually, I could just keep it that. I can just update the host config, can I?
Yeah, just the host config.
Kubernetes.host.
It's kubernetes.default.svc.
Even close. And port.
Um, 443. I'm pretty sure is what it's going to be in Minikube. You
The
can
edge
you can double
update.
check it by looking at services in the default namespace.
And it's the. Okay.
It is port 443 on my Minikube.
Okay. And now I've got an intercept. I got this. And so now I need to add the servers. Woof, that looks the same. Servers and senders. ZD Edge list ERs. ZD Edge. Oh, I don't have a public attribute. How did this work? ZD Edge update entity Q A Edge update Edge
Is
router.
is Kuber your client or your server?
1 second. Public. Edge update. Edge router. Cuber. Edge list edge routers. Now it's going to public. CD edge list identities. Now I got a server and I got a sender. All right. Your question is Kuber what?
Who is Kuber?
It's the edge router. The
Oh, I thought
Kubernetes
you had
edge
an
router.
identity. Oh, that's
I
right.
do.
You were okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
do.
got you. So it's Oh, yeah, yeah. That should be the server. Yeah, you got it. I'm just catching up to you.
SSK HTTPS / webhook.zd on port 80. Yay! We did it. We
Why?
accessed the Kubernetes API from within Kubernetes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I see what you did.
Fantastic.
I see what you did. It is
Cool.
an SSL server. Yeah.
Yep. But it was on 80 because of what you sent me, so I had to work around it.
How do you feel? How do you feel? I mean, there's
I
lots of
mean, that
stuff
was
like
so easy.
that. 2 hours later.
There's a clip for you right there.
Uh, yeah. I'll
How do
not
you
forget.
feel? That was so easy. All right. Well, I mean, it's exciting to see it working. I, it's cool that that was able to be done. It took us a long time, um, but that's okay. That's the reason why we're going through this is to provide you with this exact experience of a,
Yep.
not utterly novice individual, but I know what I need to know, and I know enough of the Ziti side of it to get through. You were able to help me through getting the Kubernetes stuff rolling. It did work. I did have to update my hosts file, which is perfectly acceptable in my
For a
opinion
quick
from a
start.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for a developer doing local developer stuff, totally acceptable. I could
Yep.
also have used my Pi-hole if I didn't want to use my hosts file. So if you are somebody who has a DNS that you can update and add records to, then by all means you could have just done that
And we
too.
can just say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But I think most people working at home, at least in my opinion, until I install the Pi-hole, nobody has control over their local DNS, uh, or they don't know that they have they don't know they have control over it. That's also probably true. Like I never would have had to muck with this, and usually it just works, and I don't have to muck with it. But when you're doing something inside of a container like this, it's you got to know what's going on with DNS.
You do.
Totally reasonable.
You've got layers. This onion has layers.
Yeah. And so now, my instinct is to fire up another mini cube and to connect the two mini cubes together. That would be fun and exciting. But I expect it'll all just work because I saw my ZD Edge tunnel, my desktop edge for Windows, work. So I don't have any expectation that it would be a problem.
It won't work with too many cubes because you need to be able to hairpin out from one cluster into the other. And there's no, unless Minikube provides a way for some kind of inter-cluster connect.
Mm,
Because
mm,
remember, we worked around that
yeah,
limitation by
yeah,
using a quote global name that worked from your laptop because the
yeah.
only software running could use the Etsy host file.
Oh,
But
oh, but you know what? I can just run a router on my local computer, which goes to Minikube. That would work outside of
yes,
Minikube. So I could have
yes,
a second router just running right here on
on your
my
laptop,
computer.
right?
Yeah.
And there very well may be a way to route to another cluster's load balancer. I just don't know enough about like if you upgrade Minikube and you tell it the bind address is like your laptop's real IP, your real LAN
Right.
IP,
Right.
then hairpinning might just work
Yeah.
through that
I
load
would expect.
balancer.
I would
Yeah,
expect it to just work at that point. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That was hopefully that gave you a little bit of. I mean, like we found a few things to clean up, right? Like the jobs
host
and
install jobs.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and the secret also. So we learned some stuff along the way. Um, I thought it was a good experience, a little bit frustrating at times, but that's how it is, right? It's just the nature of what we do.
Totally.
All right, man. Cool. You good?
Yeah, let's call it there. I'm gonna go get some lunch.
Oh, I feel bad for you. All right, buddy. You do that.
No, I'm good. I usually eat around this time. It's fine.
All right. We'll see you.
See ya.
Anybody who watches, thanks for sticking
I'm
in.
sorry.